Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Cindy here from CLB Craft Creations with another fall themed card project for you this week. This features the new Vintage Leaves stamp set as well as the coordinating framelits. Although we're not actually using the framelits on, we're not using the cutout on the project, we're using it as a template for masking. So we're also going to use the Sheltering Tree set for the sentiment, which is the Thankful for You. And I'm going to change this card up actually a little bit. After I'd made this, I thought that I really wanted it to pop. So we're going to do some gold embossing on this one, and we'll see how that turns out. I also changed, this was Whisper White, I changed this to Very Vanilla instead, just because I think that the gold will pop a little bit better on that. So let's go ahead and get started. We got quite a bit of stamping and embossing to do, as well as this masking technique does take a little bit of time to do. Alright, so my card base is it is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and we're actually not going to start stamping on that first. We are going to bring in our piece of Very Vanilla, and this is going to be our inside piece, which measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to rub my embossing buddy over the corner here because I'm going to just emboss that on the corner. Take my Versamark pad and the maple leaf. I'm going to go ahead and ink that leaf up with my Versamark really well. Now the embossing buddy just helps take off any oils or static from your cardstock so that the embossing powder only sticks where you applied the ink. So we'll go ahead and press that down, and got a nice image on there. And I'm going to bring in my gold embossing powder, which, as I mentioned numerous times, I keep in tubs. But just going to go ahead and run that in there. Give that a little flick. And I'm just going to set this aside real quick because I want to stamp my, my other leaf as well. Now this piece measures 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and I know that the camera's having difficulty focusing just because it's just the same color basically. So we're going to take that same leaf image and we're going to ink that up in the Versamark again. Okay, and then we're going to center this but towards the top so that we have room to put our sentiment in there. Okay, and then just let that sit on there with a firm pressure and transfer that Versamark ink. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment as well. Why not? Let's see how this all turns out with gold embossing. Okay, and then we're just going to center that down here at the bottom. I don't think I got that on very straight, but it will be good enough. Alright, let me get my little tub of embossing powder here, and we will get this into the gold embossing powder. Now we can see it. Okay, I'm just going to give it a good little flick there to get that stuff off of there. Bring in my heat tool, and we'll get this heated. Let it heat up for a couple seconds before you hit it onto the cardstock. And you just need to put the heat on it until you start seeing it go shiny. Okay. Embossing done. Get that out of the way. Okay. So now this is for the inside of our card. This will be for the outside of a card. And this is actually really pretty already. I'm not quite sure we're going to get the color variations that I was going for before. Okay, so we're just going to set this aside, both of these just to kind of cool off for a little bit. And I'm going to bring back in my card base, which was the crumb cake, at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I'm going to take that image, I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick clean my Stampin' Scrub over here on the side. Just going to give it a quick clean. Get that first mark off of there. Okay, I'm going to bring in the coordinating ink and crumb cake, and I'm just going to stamp the back of my card to kind of make a nice random background. And you could use the other leaves in this set if you wanted to do this part. You don't really see a whole lot of it. I'm going to come in off of this one. Just maybe sideways like that here. And then we'll just get a little tip there and a little tip there. Now we've got nice coverage there. All right. Now I went ahead and I die cut the oak or the maple leaf from the framelits. And I'm going to bring in my, this is my the smaller of the pieces, and I'm just going to layer that right on top of the embossed image, and it fits right in there, so you can just line it up. Okay, and I'm going to take my my sponge daubers and my ink pads. Now I'm going to use, with this one I used Cajun Craze and Cherry Cobbler. I think I'm going to go, with Real Red and Pumpkin Pie. So I think what I'll do is I'll start with the Pumpkin Pie first, and then I'll go in with the, Real Red. Okay, so I'm just going to take my sponge dauber, and I'm going to dab that into the corner or on my ink pad, and I just want to make sure I keep this lined up as best as I can. Now there is some warping on here, so we need to make sure that we don't get ink where we don't want it. Okay, and then I'm just going to start off of my image, and then I'm going to bring the color in. Okay, now the idea is, because with the framelits it always gives you the little piece around it. That's really what I wanted. I wanted that image or the outline piece without having to have an extra layer on there. Kind of making it, it's not really a one layer card, but it's that idea that it could be. Okay, and then you're just going to ink on your color just from the outsides in. Make sure that you bring the color far enough in, because remember we're going to go in with the Real Red on the edges. Now I'm going to go in with my red dauber with some Real Red ink. And again, starting off before you move on, because I just want this right on the edges. I think I bent that one up a little bit. I'm telling you guys to be careful, and I'm not being careful. And then of course be careful on the sides so that you don't get onto the outside piece of your cardstock. Okay, I think that is going to serve well enough for my purposes. Okay, and now this is the reveal. We'll see how it looks. Let me get this out of here. Oh, it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I love it with that gold embossing. That is gorgeous. I love it. Now here you can see that's where I missed that little spot. Love it. Beautiful. Now, because I added the gold, I could probably use the gold metallic thread, But I want to tie in that, I want to tie in the base here because I don't have any gold embossing on my card base. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with the linen thread on this part. And I'm going to go ahead and take some dimensionals and I'm going to pop this up. And if I can find my dimensionals. It's an empty sheet of dimensionals. One in the middle, and again, because it's a little warped, I'm going to add just a little bit extra just because I don't want it to be too floppy on there. Probably adding way more on here than I need to, but okay. So take all these off. And it probably would have looked really pretty to have this embossed as well. I was afraid of my my card warping from the heat. Oh, it's so pretty with that gold embossing. I love that. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my linen thread and I'm just going to make a quick bow. And with this one I just did a single. But we're changing everything, so let's make it a double. Just cut that. So what I did is just kind of folded it in half to make two lengths. Make my bow. Pull that through, and then I can. Oops, I didn't want to do that one. Make sure to leave yourself enough. I didn't leave myself enough on this one, but cut that length off. Get a mini glue dot. I don't know what happened to my roll of glue dots. These are like really old here. I've got these sheets. Had these forever. I'm just going to put that right there on the stem. Take my bow and I'm just going to add that right to the center. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And I just need to add my interior piece, and we're just going to use regular snail for that. And again, probably add a little extra adhesive just because you've got some embossing there and you don't want it to pull up. You want it to lay nice and flat. Open up our side. Okay. Voila! And there is our finished card project. I'd be interested to see what you preferred, whether you like the gold embossed version or just the plain crumb cake. This one used Cajun Craze and cherry cobbler for the coloring, as well as the crumb cake for the interior piece instead of the gold. So there we have it. I hope that you liked today's card project and you'll give it a try. Please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Thanks, guys.